When we talk about prostate cancer, the conversation is almost exclusively about men, and rightly so. They're the ones with the cancer. But no man is, as they say, an island, and the effects of cancer treatment and surgery affect not just the man who has it, but the people he lives with as well. There are the usual things that someone with cancer deals with: reactions to medicines, maybe mood changes, grief at getting a cancer diagnosis, and recovery from surgery. But because prostate cancer involves the reproductive system, treatment can involve changes to sexual function, often long-lasting and sometimes permanent. That's a big loss for the man and for his partner as well.
It came as a terrible shock and really was like a bereavement.
That's Susan, not her real name, given this is a delicate topic. Her husband had prostate surgery a little less than 2 years ago.
I had been to Dr. Google and read up a bit about it and was concerned about our sex life afterwards, because that had always been a large part of who we were. We were very compatible and love each other. The surgeon, who was really efficient and obviously very clever and knowledgeable, said it can be a problem, but there's lots of things we can do. I thought, oh well, we'll work this out. It's nearly 2 years now since the operation, and my husband is so distressed that that part of our life is gone. He's completely shut down in every way. I've tried to talk to him about it on many occasions, and he's embarrassed. And a man of his generation, he's older, he doesn't like to talk about those things. So that's been really, really difficult, because I couldn't understand it. I thought he didn't love me anymore. And I felt really rejected and very, very sad.
For her friend, who we'll call Helen, it's been 9 years. At this stage, she's resigned herself to that part of her relationship being finished forever.
I had an enormous loss, because when he realised his sexual life was over, he didn't want to touch me. He goes, well, I can't look at you naked or touch you because I want you. I know I can't. So I'm moving into the other room. Took 12 months. 12 months of experimenting, of dreadful times together. And I just thought, not only has he got this life sentence, so do we, the women who are young and vital. I'm not there yet. And this might have happened to him, but I'm in perfectly good working order. I haven't had a man touch my skin for that long. It's dreadful. It's a real, real loss.
Susan and Helen say that among their groups of friends, couples in their 60s and 70s, this is a really common story. A prostate cancer diagnosis, the shock of processing it and undergoing treatment, a withering of intimacy between a man who is unable or unwilling to talk about it, and a woman feeling frustrated and rejected. Helen and her husband did try a session or two of a peer support group led by a man who'd had prostate cancer, but they found it lacking. Susan said she and her husband weren't offered counselling at all, and when she suggested seeking it out, he wasn't interested.
I suggested counselling. He said, oh no, I'm not doing counselling. No counselling.
But there's good evidence counselling can be really beneficial for couples looking to navigate life together after surviving a prostate cancer diagnosis.
We often don't talk about sex, even with people we've been married to for a very long time or been with for a very long time. And so to suddenly have to start having conversations about an intimate part of your life when perhaps you've never discussed it before, that is really tricky.
Professor Suzanne Chambers is a psycho-oncologist, a psychologist who specialises in working with prostate cancer patients. She says it's one thing to be informed about cancer treatment side effects, but experiencing them is another.
And of course, with prostate cancer, it affects very intimate parts of your life. There are side effects that can be urinary problems, bowel problems, but probably the most overwhelming one is changes to erectile function, which then affects intimate relationships. But it's more than intimate relationships because it's tied up in a man's sense of masculinity and the sexuality of the couple.
A bit of a refresher on the male anatomy. The prostate gland sits low in the pelvis, and its job is to produce the fluid that goes into semen. If you get cancer in your prostate, treatment can involve medicines that block sex hormones to stop the cancer growing, radiation therapy, or surgery, the most radical of which involves removing the entire prostate gland. All of these treatments can affect sexual function in some way. But while it's a tricky area to navigate, there are evidence-based ways to move through the psychological challenges and preserve a couple's intimate relationship. Professor Chambers.
After treatment, the ideal approach would be for the couple to work on this together as a team. But it's not easy. And so it takes an attitude of playfulness and openness that can be hard to bring out of yourself, particularly when you've just gone through a diagnosis and major surgery.
She says the best results come with true multidisciplinary care, a cancer treatment team that includes not just the surgeon or radiation oncologist, but allied health professionals, including ones that deal with the psychological effects of treatment and the effects on a couple.
So we know how to do this. There's been lots of research into this. We know how to do this. The thing that is troublesome is when this doesn't happen and when people feel like they've been left out and they've found themselves in a difficult position and they don't know where to turn.
And maybe recovery brings a different kind of intimacy than the couple used to have, but one that's still fulfilling.
Reinforcing the importance of affection and cuddling and non-sexual contact that reaffirms their love and care for each other without an expectation of performance. Making sure that you find time to do the nice things in life and don't lose touch of the wonderful things that brought you together in the first place.
Sometimes Professor Chambers talks to couples who tell her that sex isn't a priority for them. And that's okay too.
It's not unusual and I'm not surprised by it. It's just we're all different and there are many aspects to a relationship in addition to sex.
But that's a conversation Susan and Helen don't feel like they ever got to have.
I would really like the medical professionals to be more upfront. Not compulsory, you can't say that, but to be encouraged to have counselling. I would just be happy just to be touched, quite frankly.
I've got this great life and fabulous friends. I've got a lot to be grateful for. Don't think poor me for 1 second. But it's such a pain in the arse.
That's Helen, whose husband had radical prostate surgery 9 years ago, finishing us off there. The Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia has a helpline you can call if you need it, 1800 22 0099. They can give advice and also put you in touch with community support groups.
Stream any ABC radio station live and on the go. Discover new podcasts, music and audiobooks, all free on the ABC Listen app.